United States or to the stability of the United States. The Iranians did not have a nuclear program, and that's not John saying it.
They had a nuclear program, not a nuclear weapons program.
Nuclear weapons program. That's not John saying it. That's 2 national intelligence estimates done by all 18 members of the U.S. intelligence community.
And Tulsi Gabbard repeated it in Congress.
And besides the...
Have you noticed that Mehdi's doing the softball interview? Fox News gives GOP candidate. Yeah, this is definitely a friendly interview for sure. I think on Zateo, is it normally? I don't know, but yeah. The reason why I ask is because AIPAC leaders already routinely meet Netanyahu and other Israeli government leaders all the time. It's not even a secret. I don't understand how you would ever prove they're taking orders from Israel besides sneaking a recording device in their meetings or something. I would have to see what the what types of meetings they're having or what that means when you say meetings. Because if it's like taking flights to Israel for 2 weeks and having closed door meetings or something, and then coming back to the U.S. and then like leading AIPAC, that would be a cause for concern. That would raise eyes where it's like, well, shouldn't you have to... But also, like, I don't know if maybe some of these individuals are registered as foreign agents, but like AIPAC as a whole isn't. So, but I'm not sure. I'd have to check.
No clue.
This is his insane take on Putin and Ukraine. Oh boy. The biggest issue that I have with everything is when I've said this a million times. When you misidentify what the problem is, then whatever the problem actually is, you can't identify it, so you can't solve it. So if people have an issue with the U.S.'s relationship with Israel, like if your hyperfixation is that you think it's just all like foreign propaganda from Israel that is funding or whatever, you know, Israeli interest or Jewish interest or whatever in the United States, you're just not really, that's just not really how it works. You're kind of missing... I don't know. If that's your issue, it's not. You're not going to find it by like trying to figure out if Israel is like secretly trying to coordinate amongst foreign actors in other countries. Jews have always been pretty good about like making organizations and advocating for their interests and everything else, right? Like the Balfour Declaration and all of that in the would it have been the UK at that point? I don't even know. But in Great Britain, in England, that was done by communities of Jewish people who came together and formed like the National Jewish Congress or Assembly or whatever the fuck else. Like they're good at doing this and advocating for themselves. They don't need like some foreign op propaganda machine to do it for them.
The fact that Ayatollah Khamenei had issued a fatwa in 2003 declaring it a sin.
So here's what's interesting. You told Joe Rogan last October, quote, call me crazy, but I think that if there's going to be peace with Iran, Donald Trump is going to make that peace with Iran. Can I call you crazy now?
Yeah, call me crazy.
You got it wrong.
I was totally wrong.
And it wasn't just you. A lot of people thought Trump was going to be anti-war. I met Muslim friends of mine who said, Trump's going to be anti-war. Kamala Harris is a neocon. Joe Biden's a Zionist. Trump's going to be anti-war. And it's turned out that the guy has attacked, 7 countries last year? He did Venezuela at the start of this year. He's done Iran. And now apparently Cuba any day now. Mm-hmm. How did you get it wrong?
Oh, did you see last night he struck a guy in Venezuela?
Oh, yeah, killed some, apparently a drug.
I think it was the leader of Kiriakou? I don't remember how to say it.
Kiriakou, yeah.
Kiriakou, that's who it was. Pretty crazy.
Yep, 1 trillion% a war crime. Just, you're not allowed to do law enforcement operations by killing citizens of other countries. Potentially, maybe it could have been okay as like a war strike if we were at war with that country. We're not, just absolutely not okay, but whatever.
I really believed that he really believed he had a chance of winning the Nobel Peace Prize. And I said on the Joe Rogan show, I said, listen, we used to say only Nixon could go to China, right? And I said, maybe only Trump can go to Tehran. Not literally. Maybe Trump goes to Riyadh and Mohammed bin Salman.
I mean, Michael literally went to North Korea.
Yeah, that's true too. He crossed in. Yes.
If they built him a Trump Tower in Tehran, I reckon
he'd be there. He'd be there. So I thought there was a real chance that this might happen. Although I also have been repeatedly accused of being overly optimistic about things.
Yeah, although Trump had a record as a whole, right? He'd already killed Qasem Soleimani in his first term. You know that you follow foreign policy.
Yes.
But you still believed there was a chance with him. You're so unorthodox.
Yeah.
Some of us were saying the opposite. That don't believe the bullshit. This guy
is that a warmonger with
Soleimani
guy?
Is what?
Is killing Soleimani a war crime?
Yeah. You're not really allowed to like assassinate people in other countries that you're not at war with. It's not. You're just.
Yeah, I guess.
As per international law, you're not supposed to do that. Yeah.
Why? I guess yeah. It's a failing thing for the Dems to fight on, though, right? Like being like, "Oh, look, they killed the leader of Kiriakou. It's a war crime." It's like, well, I don't think the American people are really gonna give a fuck.
Yeah.
Right.
Netanyahu kind of bragged that for 40 years I couldn't find an American president who would do what I say. Yeah. And this guy was basically dumb enough and impressionable enough to believe me.
Oh, actually, I'm sorry. I actually don't know if that's the case. If the other country is cooperative there, so like if the new Venezuelan government or whatever, regardless of their legitimacy or not.
If they say go do it.
Yeah, then I don't know if that, if you're doing it with the consent of the government, then that's probably not, would be my guess.
It's like a co-op thing.
Something like that, yeah.
Strait of Hormuz would be fine and the regime would fall.
Well, and that's the key. The key is that Netanyahu convinced him that the Iranian government was a house of cards, and it would just collapse. As soon as hostilities began, as soon as the missiles started flying, it would collapse. And
even George W. Bush did not do Iran.
That's right.
Donald Trump did Iran, and I think you're right. I think, ironically, if he'd got the Nobel Peace Prize, he might not have done it. He's actually said publicly.
I'm sorry. Fuck, I don't trust anything this guy says, actually. Never mind. He might say some correct things, but if he's saying correct things, it's just to build credibility so that he can lie to you with this John whatever dude. I can't take anybody seriously that talks about the Israel shit that gives Trump a pass on everything. It just doesn't make any sense. That with the Ellisons and everybody else, or the Adelsons or whatever, that donated so much money to Trump and... am I making this up? Did Trump say that Israel is his favorite country besides the United States, or am I mixing that up with another quote? I can't take you seriously if you're somebody who was so worried about all of the Israel stuff, and then you look at Donald Trump and you had literally nothing to say about him coming into office. I don't think that's a serious position. I think you're a propagandist, and anything you say that is incidentally the truth is just in service of getting people to believe more lies.
Well, I don't care about peace anymore because I didn't get a peace prize. Fucking child. In a rare moment in US history, the US intelligence community did not even bother to manufacture consent for this war.
No.
Right? The CIA, the DIA, normally they say, with Cuba now, they're doing this whole leaking of, they've got drones and they could hit Miami and all this bullshit. Right. With Iran, they didn't even bother. He just bombed. They didn't even try and make a case. As you say, Tulsi Gabbard, the National Intelligence, said the opposite, that there are no evidence of nuclear weapons. The Ayatollah has not decided to build nuclear weapons. The question is, do you think the intelligence community could have done something to stop it? We've had some kind of carefully timed leaks.
Right.
Do you think people within your former agency and other agencies, they're clearly pissed about this. You can see that they're not happy. Could they have done more? I know we talk about deep state.
Oh, yeah, sure,
but it doesn't seem to be a very powerful deep state if it couldn't stop Donald Trump and Marco Rubio.
No, I think you're right. Rubio, that's a whole conversation right there. No, I think you're right. They could have.
That fixation on Rubio, the reason why people love to fixate on Rubio is because Rubio, of that entire cabinet, is the most establishment type person that is there, right? This is why I've always joked in the past that Rubio is the only person in the Trump admin who knows he's going to hell, because Rubio is not an idiot. Rubio is educated. He understands how everything works foreign policy wise internationally. Not to say that I agree with him, but he's not an idiot like everybody else in that administration is. So for him to take a quick detour there and be like, oh, Rubio, that's a whole other guy, blah blah blah, and has had nothing to say about anybody else related to Trump or anything. I don't. Never mind this. I understand this guy fully right now. I get it. I totally get him. I totally get it.
Done more. They could have leaked more. They could have put their collective foot down, and they didn't. They just saluted. And may I add something too?
Please.
John Ratcliffe went to Cuba a week ago. The CIA director went to Cuba a week ago. And a couple of my colleagues, my former colleagues, said, oh, that's good, back channel communication. I said, are you crazy? He's going to tell them, we're going to overthrow you. We did the same thing to Gaddafi. Yes. And we sent the CIA director to meet with Gaddafi and say, the gig's up. You're going to go.
I mean, Libya was a disaster. Venezuela so far militarily is not a disaster.
Right.
That's emboldened Trump to do things like Iran, which is a disaster. Question is Cuba or Venezuela or Iraq?
I don't know if you've ever been to Cuba.
I have not.
I went 2 years ago, and several things struck me. First is how incredibly peaceful the Cuban people are. Literally every Cuban has a relative in Miami. Yeah. They just want to work and earn money for their families and live happily ever after. And Cuba is not only no threat to us, they're worried about how many hours the electricity is going to be out and where food is coming. I said something, here's what an idiot I am sometimes. I said something to a waiter in the hotel where we were staying. I said, buddy, squash 3 times a day, every day. I'm squashed out. I can't eat any more squash. Certainly you have to have something besides squash. It's killing me. And he said, the American embargo extends to food. Yeah. We have to eat what we grow, and this is squash season. I had no idea that it extended to food.
Do you think Cuba will end up a Venezuela or Iran if you had to predict?
God forbid. I think it would end up a Venezuela. Nobody there has the stamina to fight.
They give up Raul Castro, they put a Delcy Rodriguez equivalent in.
I think so.
You went to Cuba 2 years ago, you said?
Yes.
When did you go to Israel?
In 2022.
I'd love to see your passport. The stamp's on your passport.
And I'll tell you, they put the red light on when I come back through immigration, and I look up and there's the red light, and I say, okay, and I give them my mantra. I'm represented by counsel, and I don't talk to cops, and you cannot stop me from re-entering my own country.
But they all know you at the airports that you're the exit.
They absolutely can. It doesn't matter if you're represented by whatever the fuck else. It's immigration coming back into the country. You absolutely cannot just say that and sneak your way back into the United States through immigration. But okay, Chief.
Yeah, I do.
Yes.
And now podcaster. Quick question on technology. Does Israel have spy technology that the US does not have or chooses not to use?
Oh, I believe so. I believe that they do. And I believe that they use it against Americans, especially Americans who have the guts to protest in front of the Israeli embassy.
There's always reporting that they've agreed not to use technology against Americans, the NSO group and all these companies,
and
the hacking of WhatsApp.
Take their word for it. Sure. Yes.
You think they're spying on Americans with technology that they have developed, sometimes with Americans?
I do, yes.
And we're seeing a lot of use of AI in warfare. The US reportedly used Anthropic's AI in its war with Iran. Israel reportedly uses AI programs like Lavender and Where's Daddy, where they follow a militant into their home to kill them with their wife and kids. Apparently only 20 seconds of human intervention to authorize a bombing once AI has decided on a target. How dangerous do you think, as someone who's in the war on terror as a CIA officer, how dangerous are these developments?
Oh, I think they're incredibly dangerous. But they're more dangerous because There is no internal rule or regulation or policy for the Israelis to try to avoid killing civilians or innocents. They don't care about collateral damage. They'll just kill everybody who's in the area if they can be sure to get the target. One of the things about the Israelis, too, is they can't help themselves but to brag to the media about their successes. So, as an example, the Iranian nuclear scientists that have been killed, they've been wiped out.
Yes, murdered.
And the senior military officials. How? After the Iranian leadership said nobody was permitted to use cell phones, it didn't occur to them to tell the bodyguards that they couldn't use cell phones. And so the Israelis just honed in on the cell phones of the bodyguards to geolocate their targets.
But if you make remote killing that easy, and AI can pinpoint where people are,
Right.
what kind of checks and balances are there in a world where governments just can kill anyone, anywhere, anytime?
None. This is like an episode of Star Trek. It really is.
Yeah.
It's you get to the point where it's almost impossible to stop once it's been initiated.
Earlier this year, I interviewed Michael Steinberger, who's author of the book Philosopher in the Valley, which chronicles Alex Karp and his company Palantir. He told me the tech bros have captured the state. The US government has become over-reliant on these tech billionaires, these tech companies.
Yes.
They've got contracts with the Pentagon. They've been now integrated into the military planning and execution. How worried are you that it's not just the deep state we should be worried about, but it's tech companies integrating themselves into our defense apparatus?
Oh, I'm deeply worried. You know, the CIA received a waiver in the immediate aftermath of the 9/11 attacks to create a venture capital firm, a quasi-independent venture capital firm called InQtel. They thought it was cute. It's Intel with the letter Q in the middle as a nod to the James Bond character.
Yes.
The very first investment they made was something like $1.5 million to Palantir. And now Palantir is a multi-billion-dollar concern. It is deeply integrated into the CIA. But besides Palantir, there are other companies. One, Abraxas, for example. Abraxas was set up when I was still at the agency. It was founded by a group of retired senior CIA officers who really set it up as a pass-through for to have a place where they could go, drink coffee and smoke cigars and talk about, all the scalps that they had accumulated during the course of their career. And they started getting these counterterrorism contracts after 9/11. They all got rich. That's also a multi-billion-dollar concern now tied to the CIA. When you couple that with the fact that, well, we know from the Twitter papers, the Twitter files, that there were active duty CIA, NSA, and FBI employees working at Twitter, at Meta, Instagram, Facebook, at all of the social media platforms, and then knowing what they're doing with InQtel and Palantir and Abraxas.
Working at, or does he just mean communicating with? Was that a thing from the Twitter files? I don't remember that. I know there was like open lines of communication. Anybody know that? I feel like if that was true, I feel like somebody would have brought that up in it.
Access, etc. Where are they not in tech and in government? I'm genuinely worried about this.
So where does that leave our government? You describe yourself as a third-generation Democrat who left the party ages ago. I think you were once
Yes, former federal employees working at Twitter. Okay, I could believe that. Sure.
vice president of the College Dems
Yes.
at GW prior to being recruited. What made you leave the Democratic Party, and where do you stand on the political spectrum now? How would you classify your politics now to your new online followers who say you're
Right.
conservative, you're liberal, you're socialist? What are you?
I call myself a leftist libertarian.
Okay.
You know, the Libertarian Party has this online Q&A.
Okay.
And they'll show you on a graph where
Anybody that does this, like, fucking, this is also sussy. Fuck, anybody that does this, like, oh, libertarian or any bullshit is always super sussy. It's always just code words for, like, I'm about to do every anti-American trope you've ever heard in your entire life, every anti-establishment trope you've ever heard in your entire life, every single time, but whatever.
That's it. And I am solidly on the left and solidly in the anti-government libertarian quadrant.
Yeah.
I also am a firm believer in the fact that the ideological spectrum is not a straight line from left to right, that it's a circle. And it meets...
That's often used as a pejorative, that the horseshoe, the far right and far left meet.
But I think that's a good thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm perfectly happy to cooperate with somebody like Marjorie Taylor Greene, for example, on an issue like Jeffrey Epstein or Israel, Palestine, Gaza, Iran, whatever. Perfectly happy to take support from wherever I can find it.
Let's talk about the very contentious issue. I recently made a video about that, because AOC came out and said, I don't trust Marjorie Taylor Greene, then some people left attacked her, and she said, well, Marjorie Taylor Greene's got
You're
lots
not
of
asking
issues.
her to marry Marjorie Taylor Greene. Just work with her on this issue.
Yeah, but there's a trust issue for some people. And there's also an issue of what are the toxic politics surrounding some of these people you have to ally with.
Yeah.
Before I ask this next question, I'm going to forget. You said you're on the left. How many other CIA or ex-CIA people are on the left? I mean, you don't think of the CIA being a left-wing place.
You don't, but I'll tell you something. On Election Day, 1992, I voted and I went into the office and we had our 9 o'clock morning meeting and my boss said, I know we're not supposed to do this, but I'm really curious as to who everybody voted for. And in our branch, it was 3 for Bush, 3 for Clinton, and 2 for Perot. And I remember thinking, wow, I'm not the only, well, we called ourselves liberals then.
Yes.
I'm not the only liberal. Well, I never had any idea what the politics were of the
That's
people that I was around. And then when I got arrested, the day I got arrested, my wife said to me, well, you don't have to hide your politics anymore.
Well, your politics are interesting because I think a lot of people have moved. I think you've shifted as well, as you said, left libertarian.
Yes.
You talk about working with people on different sides of the aisle, circular politics, Marjorie Taylor Greene, AOC, big topic right now. I need to ask you about someone else because I was looking forward to this interview. My team and I did some research, and then I got very upset.
Uh-oh.
So
Who
I'm
did I
going
talk
to
to?
pick with you.
Okay.
You endorsed in Florida the far-right Republican candidate, James Fishback, who is very anti-Israel, very anti-establishment, claims to be libertarian. He's also a brazen racist.
Yeah, I didn't endorse him.
Okay.
I'm not using this
You
as
said,
an
listen, if
excuse.
you're a Republican voting for governor of Florida, consider James Fishback, February 2026. That was you.
Yeah, that was my assistant. And I tore him a new one for
This was you,
tweeting.
John, live with Ted Ralph.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Oh, yes. And that was a stupid thing to say. I didn't really know anything about him other than I had seen this clip.
I thought you were going to sit here and defend James Fishback.
No, I saw this clip where he's yelling about AIPAC, and I said, hey,
a lot of people, this is the problem with the clips.
Yeah, and then
you got to be careful with the clips.
And then my assistant endorsed him on Twitter, and I had to delete it. And I was like,
so just to be clear, now, you have not told people to vote for a man who says a black man should be lynched.
Oh my God.
Who says Indian people shouldn't eat with their hands, they don't have forks. I can go through the list of
oh my
racist
God, no, that's
because this is the problem.
Dreadful.
I have brown Muslim friends of mine who have said to me, James Fishback's interesting because they like you saw a clip where he's attacking
like,
AIPAC.
hey,
and they say, finally, someone's standing up to AIPAC. But you would agree that there are people on this political spectrum, whether it's round or linear, who are not just anti-Israel because they care about Palestinian rights or international, they're also anti-Semitic.
Yes, in fact.
And you probably shouldn't ally with those people.
No.
Because that's not...
You have to draw the line. Okay. I do a lot of cameos since this thing went crazy. People want me to do cameos.
From CIA agent to cameo guy, I love it.
And the only cameos I've ever turned down, there have been 3, are people asking me to give shout-outs to Nick Fuentes. Okay. And I've said no, I'm not.
So far in this interview, we've learned you turned down the opportunity to torture people and to do cameos for Nick Fuentes.
Yeah.
Okay, good to hear. Good decisions, both of them. Another controversy that surrounds, I wanted to give you a chance just to get this out because it's still a big issue in Democratic circles, which is Russia. Yeah. We haven't talked about Russia, we're running out of time. From 2017 to 2024, correct me if I'm wrong, you worked as a radio talk show at Sputnik News, a Russia state-owned media company.
Correct.
The New Republic, I think in 2018, published a big piece saying the CIA spy who became a Russian propagandist.
Yeah.
Put aside the Russian propagandist line. Do you agree that it's at least concerning for some people, that it should be concerning for some people, as a former spy, that a former CIA agent turned whistleblower then ends up working for the Russian government?
No.
Okay.
And I'll tell you what.
I was going to say, my prediction was going to say, yeah, it should be concerning. It should be concerning that I am so blacklisted in the United States, the only thing I can do is go to a foreign government.
Why? What should be concerning to people is that the CIA will so ruin a person whose politics they don't like.
I cummed. I just cummed. I just cummed. I cummed everywhere. I'm sorry. Remember, if you guys need scriptwriters for any of your propagandists, okay? I got all of it right here, all right?
That he can never work again. I did 23 months in a federal prison. I paid my so-called debt to society. Yes. But then I'm never supposed to work again as long as I live.
So it was a financial thing?
Oh, completely. I have 5 kids.
But isn't that even worse? Because that suggests that you'll do anything if anyone who pays you.
No.
That's what your critics would say.
No. What you didn't quote in that terrible New Republic article, the New Republic...
You said you had editorial freedom.
Oh, complete and total editorial freedom.
People would say that's not possible for Russian state.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Yeah. People also say, want CIA, always CIA. There's nothing...
I do a show for Al Jazeera English and people say I'm a Qatari stooge.
So ridiculous. Ridiculous.
You have said that you believe that like, Russia isn't giving exact talking points, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
They're just finding stooges who are basically going to say what they want anyways.
Basically, yeah.
Okay.
Like, I get this guy has...
Yeah.
Although I don't know now because this guy should know better. But also, everybody that emails me about intelligence stuff always... I get this a lot where people are like, you still dramatically overestimate, like, the average person that works in this area. Like, a lot of these people are just normal people. Some of them are fucking retards. This guy might just be a little bit retarded. Like, not understanding fair stuff or not understanding why people might be concerned that an ex-intelligence official in the U.S. is working for a foreign media. And because the problem is that what he's saying right now is I have complete editorial control. What he's saying right now is that they don't give me talking points or anything else. But, like, how could I trust him?
Yeah.
How would I know? I couldn't, right? And he should know that as a foreign official, right? Or I'm sorry, as an ex-intelligence person who now works for foreign media. But I think he would probably know that as well as, like, a person who works in intelligence, that you wouldn't necessarily take somebody at their word, you know, that's under the thumb of a foreign government, but whatever. I don't know. It's retarded. I don't know. Whatever.
Months later, offered me again. I, for the life of me, could not...
It's just annoying. Oh, fuck. I wonder if Maddie would ever talk about this. Like, you could print every single opinion this guy has and then, like, assign this to, like, 30 other opinions. Like, he just has every single sloppulist opinion. Every single one. Like, it is... Nothing about this interview has been surprising, insightful, unpredictable. Like, this is just exactly verbatim every single sloppulist talking point I would expect to hear. And it's like, I don't know, whatever.
Find a job. And because I was a convicted felon, I was turned down by Uber, I was turned down by Lyft, by Safeway, by Target. I mean, I literally could not find work. I was turned down to be a baggage handler at the Reagan National Airport. And so I said to the Russians, the only way I would take this job is if you give me complete freedom to criticize anybody and anything I want, including Vladimir Putin. They said, done. I said, would you put that in writing in the contract?
And you did criticize Putin on it?
On the day of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, I opened my show by saying, I unreservedly condemn the Russian invasion of Ukraine and I call on Russian troops to withdraw immediately.
What do you make of the Donald Trump relationship with Russia? It's weird. I don't want to relitigate Mueller and all of that stuff. My position on this has always been, put aside all the wealth of information that shows there were financial and business ties between the Trumps and Russian banks and blah, 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 blah. We'd have to argue, does Donald Trump have an asset? All that. I don't want to get to that.
Right.
Just as somebody who follows Donald Trump, this is a man who criticizes everyone, throws his own children under the bus if need be, gives nicknames to everyone, attacks allies, whether you're the Canadian Prime Minister, the British Prime Minister. Never. I've yet to find, open challenge people watching at home, find me a place where he attacks Vladimir Putin.
No, I have to agree.
He's never done it.
No.
It's weird.
It is. It's strange. And I wonder if it's just that...
Is it more of him?
He's not... Yeah. Yeah,
That's the only best. The best explanation
He's
for Trump
not
is just
what?
that he's a sycophant who's in awe of this autocrat he'd like to be.
I think he admires autocracy.
Yes.
Awe of
He loves Xi Jinping. He just came back from China.
Yeah, with nothing but.
What?
It's that he's in awe of him.